Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I literally just went over to the computer and I started rendering my video in iMovie, and then I sat down and I'm like, okay, let's get the next video going. I have this haul from yesterday, this motivational, inspirational haul that I was gonna do. But since my plan yesterday was to start by reading the Daily Book of Positive Quotations, I thought, well, why don't we do it again? So, happy Valentine's Day. I'm pre-filming this video, but it is Valentine's Day for you. So happy Valentine's Day. I hope your day is filled with love and romance. And we're gonna talk a little bit about self-love in just a second, because I think, you know, I'm somebody that gets very caught up in the hallmarkism of Valentine's Day. I love Valentine's Day. I love love. I love romance. I love romantical movies. I call it romantical. I love romantic comedies. I just love romance, okay? Romance is a real turn on for me. And, you know, it's always something that is very, very important to me when I'm like with somebody. And it's interesting because my husband, when I first met him, like he wasn't super romantic, and like he knew that that was something that was important to me. But I will tell you something, okay? My husband today is one of the most romantic people that I know. And I do believe that it's something that somebody can learn over time, even if they're not. So if you're married to somebody that's not romantic, look at them and say, you know what, that's not an excuse. And like, this is something that's important to me, and so you better figure it out. My husband has been somebody that has done some of the most romantic things in the entire world. Two things that he did on two separate Valentine's days. One was that he came home and there were like, and some of this kind of stuff is like, you know, like it's been done by other people and whatever, but he knew how much I love flowers. And so he had all of these flower petals. I think they were stargazer lilies, which he hates, but I love stargazer lilies. And they were like all up the staircase and all this kind of stuff. And then on the bed, he had like written with these like foam letters, like, I love you so much. And like he had put flower petals all around it, and he had made the bed really nice, and the candles were lit. I mean, it was so romantic, right? And that was like the first year. And he was like, I'm really, really trying to be romantic. And he was really working on it. Another year, and I know that this is going to sound crazy, and this probably doesn't sound real romantic to a lot of people, but actually, this is my review on my Peter Review Stuff channel. So if you're watching this, go check out my review today. It's something kind of similar to this. But I had one year, I don't know how we got talking about it, but we were talking about Valentine's Day, and I was talking about when I was a kid that I loved, you know, like first grade, third grade, or whatever, second grade, whatever grade, having the Valentine's Day party where, you know, the moms at the end of the day, the last hour, would bring in like the red cupcakes, you know, the red frosted cupcakes. You'd wear a little red turtleneck or pink turtleneck. Well, boys back then didn't wear pink turtlenecks. Isn't that so stupid? We did that, you know? But anyway, that like pink wasn't, whoever said that, it's just all that so stupid. But anyway, you know, like we would wear the little red turtlenecks, and we would put anonymous Valentine's Day cards, and there, anyway. Oh my God, my friend, this is so funny. So my friend that we're visiting in Dallas, actually, I noticed he put on Facebook, he said to all the boys I graduated from high school with, all those anonymous Valentine's Days and all those anonymous Valentines in your box in elementary school were from me. Busted. I just like started dying laughing because that was so me. But I didn't do that. I didn't have that kind of confidence. But I did have a couple girlfriends, and I always got the big, you know, ones. I would bring it in, and my mom was like, they're gonna know. And I'm like, no, Mom, no. And I would just like slide underneath the box, you know. But anyway, I've kind of joked about them on my review channel, but I had a couple girlfriends, Christy and Denise and Courtney and Kay. I had so many girlfriends, Heather, and anyway, so many girlfriends in elementary school. Those turned into being good Judies later in life is what they turned into. But then, so one year I was talking about the Valentine's Day party and how much I was like, Valentine's Day isn't like that anymore, and blah, 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 whatever. The first year that we were together, he knew how important it was for me, and he went through and he made a CD. Like, it's kind of a funny story because we ended up getting in an argument, and he threw it out the car window, and I was like, oh my God, no! And so he went and got it, and then we ended up, the only place we could get reservations at that night, because of course we weren't fighting anymore, the fight lasted 5 minutes, was Steak and Shake. And we went to Steak and Shake, and they had little, which is like a little diner place, and they had little candles on the tables and stuff. It was really, really sweet. If I don't get through this video without showing this stuff, I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to make 3 videos just to do this haul. We done some really good Valentines. We were talking the other night. I was like, what did we do last year? And I looked at Melissa and Jason, our friends, because we were at dinner with them, and I'm like, oh, we went to Ocean Prime with you guys last year for dinner. we don't always do like huge things. Like one year we went to this restaurant called Mama Carola's here because we had never been there before. It's this Italian restaurant and they do it for Valentine's Day. So if you're in the Indianapolis area and you won't get reservations today if you're watching this, and you're trying to find a place for Valentine's Day or a romantic date, Mama Carola's in Broad Ripple is fantastic. But this one year, it was so sweet what he did. So he came home from work and he had taken like a shoebox at work or some kind of box, and he had like wrapped it in construction paper, like pink and red construction paper, and then he cut a hole in it, and then he had printed out all these Valentine's days, and or Valentine's cards, and some of them, like the ones from elementary school, and some of them were so funny, you guys. Some of them were for like Jay-Z and Beyonce and stuff, and he had printed them off online, and then others he had like all the people that he works with, the girls that he works with, he like have them make like funny Valentines, and so he stuffs this box with these funny Valentines and candy and a coupon book from him of like all these things, you know, like, you know, one free date night and, you know, one free doing the dishes or whatever, that kind of stuff. And it was just so thoughtful, you know, like it was very, very thoughtful. So when I met him, he was not a super romantic person, and he, over time, has become one of the most romantic people I've ever thought of. And, you know, I'm usually the trip planner in our house. I'm usually the one, I'm going to share this because I shared it in my vlog already. I'm usually the trip planner. I'm usually the one that organizes everything and does it, whatever. So, you know, I have a true crime book club if you watch my vlogs, my BookTube channel. And, Mel, who is my book club partner, we've been wanting to like get together for a weekend forever, and there just hasn't been a good weekend, and she lives in Phoenix, and there just has never been a good weekend, right? So unbeknownst to me, Alex has been talking behind my back to Mel. I'm gonna have to do this stupid haul in my next video. So he's been talking to Mel behind my back, and he arranged a trip. So I'm going out there to see, he did the whole thing, he planned it all, and I'm so excited about it. Well, I have to plan the hotel and stuff like that because he's like, I want you to pick where you want to stay because I know that that's important to you. But he like booked the flight and everything, and I'm like so excited about it, and yeah, it's gonna be really, really fun. I'm so excited. And he's actually, that same weekend, he's going to a music festival, so it's like, it's gonna just be she and I, and well, her husband too, but like it's gonna be she and I, and we're gonna like go out to dinner and drive around, and it's gotta be, cannot wait. I've been wanting her to be like my fountain pop good GD forever, just like me and Tanya. So he kept it a secret all this time, and he just told me 2 nights ago, because I called Mel and I was like, how did you knew? And she was like, yeah, I knew. So listen, I think being romantic is about thinking about the other person first, you know? And not thinking about your own selfish needs and what these other people do for you. And I just, you know, I feel so blessed to have a husband that does that. He's just, you know, so fantastic. And I have to say, you know, in all honesty, because I talk about this over here, that like marriage counseling has really improved that 100%. We were actually talking about that the other day because when our last marriage counseling ended, because our marriage counselor retired, we wanted to like get right back into counseling again because it was helping us so much. And it's been, I think a year since we have had a marriage counselor, almost a year, coming up on April. What was it? He said 2 years, but I think it's been a year. So we're like, I mean, and things are going good, but Alex is like, what do you think about it? We were on vacation, in Mexico, and I said, I think it, you know, like, I think it would be good, both of us being able to talk to somebody about grieving with PP and stuff, and just a lot of life changes. And so we are currently searching for a new counselor. Not somebody that we're gonna go to every week, but somebody that we can go to every other week or, you know, per needed, because it just, we feel like it's just this invaluable tool, you know, to a marriage. And it's just helped us on stuff like that. I mean, I can remember having sessions where I said, like, Alex just isn't really that romantic, you know, or he, you know, and there were other things, you know, that he would like bring up and say, well, Peter needs to work on this. And so to have a third person, you know, I would say, like, if you could give yourselves as a couple any Valentine's Day gift and you're having any issues or you just want to have somebody to like bounce things off of, like, I feel like people don't really understand this sometimes. I feel like that, I mean, we did go in because our marriage sucked, okay? And we went in there because it was a last-ditch effort before we were gonna go our separate ways. And I've been very, very honest about that. That is not the case today. Our marriage is doing very well today. But the way I look at it today is if it is a last-ditch effort, you better get your butt in there quick, okay? And you better be willing to put the time, the money, and the energy into your marriage that it's gonna cost if you get divorced or separated, because it's gonna hurt. And you're gonna have, there's a lot that goes along with that. Put the same amount of effort into your marriage and your relationship. The other thing that I would say, you know, is that, I think that we look at things like athletic coaches or vocal coaches, right? Or we look at, I'm trying to think of something with adults, like a financial planner, you know? Or, I don't know, just we look at all these things that we pay, you know, like a hairstylist, a massage therapist. We look at nails, we look at all these things that we pay people for services, right? But we don't really look at counseling or therapy or coaching, life coaching in the same similar way as how much it can really help our, like, we are not taking care of the insides of ourselves. We're only taking care of all this exterior stuff that doesn't really matter. And if you don't have the inside stuff, then the rest of it doesn't matter anyway. So if you're a couple out there and you have been thinking about it, give yourself this gift of Valentine's Day. Look at each other right now, or go find your partner and show them this video and say, this is really true, because this is really true. This might be one of the truest statements I've ever made on this video. Give yourself the gift for Valentine's Day this year of agreeing to at least go to one session and schedule it tomorrow. Go get it tomorrow, find somebody. I always recommend psychologytoday.com. I'm not sponsored. I don't get anything from it. It's just how I have found, you know, therapists for myself and for other people. At the top, you can put in, it says find a therapist. You can put in your zip code or your city, and it'll pull up all the people in that area that are, you know, linked with Psychology Today. And you can go in there and you can find somebody. Give yourself that gift today, you know? And if you're somebody that's really struggling in your life, and it'll tell you like how much they cost, and there's people that are, you know, sliding fee scales and things like that for people that, you know, need, you know, affordable treatment. You know, and if you're somebody out there that's not in a relationship and you're just struggling, and you're struggling with the idea of self-love or confidence, or you're just not doing real well, you know, like please reach out to somebody and talk to them. I just, for me, it's just invaluable. And I was the one that was resistant, and I'm so glad that I ended up going. So, okay, I'm gonna read one meditation really quick, and then I will come back and do the show and tell, I guess. I mean, it's just been ridiculous at this point, isn't it? Let's read the Valentine's Day one. Let's see what it says. Love, it says. Who being loved is poor? Okay, February 14th, love. Who being loved is poor? Oscar Wilde. The Beatles sang that money can't buy us love. It's true. Love is its own sort of wealth, more precious than any material wealth. And if we were to sit down and really tally this wealth, we might be surprised at how well off we are. The love of a spouse or partner, of family members and friends, these accounts can quickly add up. One thing we have to remember though, love is like friendship. We can't expect to receive it unless we're willing to give it in kind. I will say I love you at least once today, and I'll mean it. I think that, you know, there's 12 forms of intimacy we talk about in a relationship, you know, and somebody recently, like I mentioned it in a video, and somebody found it and linked it underneath here, so thank you. But when you talk about it, it's not just, I think, saying I love you, or we're really close friends, or we're best friends. Like whenever couples say to me, like, we're best friends, I'm always like, I love my husband, and we are very, very close, and he is my partner in crime. And I understand what people mean when they say that, and I think that's fantastic, okay? But my husband is my partner in life, and I have a best friend. And those, to me, are two different things. I understand what people mean by that. My husband and I are very, very close friends. But, you know, there are even some things that I feel like I talk to him about that I would never talk to Tanya about, and vice versa, that I feel more comfortable talking with one than the other with, you know, and I think that's like most relationships. I think the thing that is important is, you know, okay, do y'all have couples that are role models to you? First of all, if you're a couple, get another friend that are a couple, okay? And have like another friendship. It is so healthy for us since we have started having other friends that are couples, like Melissa and Jason that we travel with and stuff. I mean, just to have another couple. So when you see them arguing a little bit, you're like, oh, we're not that different. When you see them reach over and grab somebody's hand, you're like, okay, it's appropriate to have public displays of affection with couples, okay? You see that stuff. You see one do something for the other, and it's like, okay, they model that for you and you're modeling it for them. And I think there's a relationship commitment between couples sometimes, you know, where it's like, I don't know. I think it's healthy to have other couples as friends when you're in a relationship. We didn't have that before. We had a lot of friends that were just our friends, but we didn't have a lot of couples. Today we have a lot of couples that we do stuff with, and it's really important. We're actually going to Dallas, well, we're in Dallas while you're watching this, with 2 other couples that we're friends with here in town for a wedding for a friend of ours who's a couple, obviously, because she's not marrying herself, you know what I mean? But I think that self-love is the most important, you know, and I think you have to be willing to love yourself most of all. But then I think you have to think about like what you want that relationship to look like. And I say this a lot, and this is, hopefully this isn't TMI, and I'll try to say it in a way that it's appropriate. But you know, do you ever have like role model couples? I had this couple that I absolutely loved. And, you know, they would like, now I didn't love their fighting. They would fight a lot, right? But they were just really passionate people, and they were just really, really cool people. And they were like in their late 50s, you know? And they would like one second be fighting and the next second be loving. And they were like, you know, I want to be able to look across the table from my husband, and I say this all the time, and have like this really great dinner conversation and like, how was your day and how was mine? Let's dream together. Let's plan trips together. And then look across the table and want to go home and still have dessert with my husband, if you know what I mean. Like, I want that to be the case at 30 years, you know? We've been together for 12 years, almost coming up on 12 years, and married for 8, like, and that's still the case. And I hope that's the case until we're well into our 70s and 80s. And I think that you have to be in the idea of love. I will say this, be very, very careful if you are that couple that has just become friends. And this is why sometimes that word to me, like, I don't know. For me, I just don't love it. Be very, very careful if you just become friends and you become very comfortable with each other and you become roommates. We were on that trajectory, and I have been that in other relationships. And I think to some degree, it is kind of, for me and my relationships, and I can only speak to that, it is kind of the beginning of the end, unless you go in there and fix it fast, and you can. But I think that in any romantic relationship, this isn't your friendship. This isn't me and Tanya living in an apartment together. I love her, but that's not what I want. I have a husband, and I want to feel passionate towards my husband. When he walks in a room, I want to look at him and go, damn, like, that's my man, you know? And I want to know that, damn, like, you know, he's got my back too, because he's my partner in life. And that's a marriage to me, you know? It takes a lot of work. And we have done so much work, you know? So don't just expect it to go overnight. If you're watching this and you go, God, he just explained my marriage and we're basically roommates at this point, it's not too far gone. Trust me, it's not, okay? You can fix it. I think sometimes, you know, making the first move, taking the first, you know, step to have that conversation and just say, do you feel this way? Because I'm scared about us. Like, I love us. You know, I think the greatest relationship is not just being in love with the other person, but being in love with both of you as a couple. You know, like, I'm in love with us, not just me, not just him. I'm in love with us together. And I think it's important, you know, to be in love with yourself as a couple, you know, and be willing to invest as much as you can. So, how much are you willing to invest? Anyway, let me know what you think about all of that. Great meditation, and I guess I will do the motivational haul one of these days. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye.